Good afternoon, everyone. One and all present here. Myself, Anjali Prem, and my co-anchor is Nilsha.
Good afternoon, all.
Good afternoon, all. So it is my pleasure in welcoming Advocate Aparna Rajagopal ma'am to this webinar. Also, I would like to welcome Smita ma'am, Mrs. Smita Krishna Kumar, and all my dear friends. So as we all know, health is wealth, and to lead a healthy life, we need healthy food. So that is when we come across organic foods and organic farming. So today we have Advocate Aparna Rajagopal ma'am. She is a lawyer by profession, an artist by nature, a self-taught farmer, and mostly importantly, a nature lover.
She is the founder of Beejom project. It was founded in 2014. Beejom is an institution promoting sustainable organic farming practices, celebrating cuisine and food, restoring the ancient relationship between animals and farmers while promoting soil and water conservation. Their aim is also to work with farmers at the grassroots level and help them restore their holdings into organic holistic farms. We look forward to hear more from you, ma'am. Next, I would like to welcome Smita ma'am for the welcome speech.
Very warm good afternoon to each one of you. My name is Smita Krishna Kumar, Senior Faculty of National Child Development Council. National Child Development Council is a self-governing organization which promotes women and child welfare. We provide Montessori teachers training for ladies of any age group. As part of our social commitment, we conduct webinars which are with various topics which are of public interest and useful for the society. And today's webinar's topic is organic farming. Today, I am assigned to welcome each one of you to this webinar. First of all, let me welcome our resource person, Ms. Aparna Rajagopal. Some people are destined to be born and live in God's own country, but some people are destined to create God's own country. Ms. Aparna Rajagopal is one such person who has transformed a barren land into a wonderland. Beejom, the animal sanctuary and organic farm, which holds a variety of flora and fauna, is a result of her dedication and enthusiasm. Respect the soil, respect the animal. Her motto is an eye-opener to each one of us. Welcome, Aparna ma'am. Welcome to our webinar. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation and deciding to share your wealth of experience with us. We are eagerly waiting to share the stories of Laddu, Vaga, and Landu and Chandu. Next, I would like to welcome our other guests who have joined the webinar to enrich their knowledge in organic farming. I would also like to welcome NCDC faculties and students who have joined for the webinar. Last but not least, I would also like to welcome our viewers who will be watching this webinar through FB Live. Thank you so much, all of you. Once again, I welcome all of you to this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Smita ma'am, for the wonderful speech. Next, we'll start this webinar with a prayer. Yes, so
yes,
Sridevi ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Anjali, ma'am. There shall be showers of blessing. This is the promise of love. There shall be seasons refreshing, sent from the Savior above. Showers of blessing we need. Mercy drops round us are falling, but for the showers we plead. There shall be showers of blessing, precious reviving again. Over the hills and the valleys, sound of abundance of rain. showers of blessing we need. Mercy drops round us are falling, but for the showers we plead. Mercy drops round us are falling, but for the showers we plead.
Thank you, Sridevi ma'am. Now, like everyone, I'm also very much excited to know more about organic farming. So welcome Aparna ma'am. Welcome to this webinar.
Thank you, Anjali. Thank you so much. Thank you, Anjali, Nisha, Smita, and NCDC for inviting me to this. It's a pleasure to be here before all of you, and always lovely to talk about my favorite topic and what we do at Beejom. And so nice to hear that some of you have heard about Beejom and know some of the work we do. Feel very happy to hear that. I hope you enjoy today's presentation. I have tried to create an interactive presentation using slides. Actually, I wish the best way to know about Beejom is to come to our farm because there's so much happening. But thanks to technology, at least we are able to bring this virtually to you through photographs and videos, and I'm really, really happy. So I'm going to start screen sharing without further delay. Rukmini, just can you start the screen share, please? So today my topic is going to be animal welfare and ecological farming, the Beejom story. The Beejom story is not just about food. The core is the animals, and the core is how the whole universe functions as a unit. And none of us can and do function separately here. So to evolve a very sustainable and happy space, we need to be together. So let me start the presentation. First slide. Yeah. So I'm going to begin with the animals because Beejom is all about animals. Like I said, the heart and core is animal welfare. And to just briefly, I know I've been introduced, but just to tell you a bit, I studied to be a lawyer, but have always been interested in animal welfare and animals, and always worked on the side rescuing animals and horses. We have a lot of animals in our home even before Beejom started. And even as a child, I think I loved animals. And as an adult, after I did law, I used to do a lot of animal rescue. And every time I went and rescued animals and sent them to the shelter, I was never happy. I used to think that this is not the solution. You know, we are helping animals, we are rescuing them, but how many are we going to pick up from the street? What is the problem? What is the problem in our world? Why are there so many animals to be rescued? Why has this situation happened that we are rescuing animals and each other, even humans? Why is this suffering? I mean, honestly, it used to bother me. And I used to wonder, what is the solution? You know, that time food was not in my head. Of course, all of us always like clean food and all. But at that time, frankly, what is uppermost was animals. And it was at this time, 9 years ago, actually, in 2014, August, my husband and I, we decided to adopt a horse. And it was quite strange that we even thought about it because we live in an urban house, in an urban place, in a colony, in a suburb in Delhi. And a horse is something that you don't usually think of. And honestly, we are urban people. We've never lived on a farm or in a rural area. So it just happened that this horse came up. And we decided to lease a small piece of land next to along the Yamuna, where we live in Delhi NCR, and keep the horse and board it and look after it. And we thought maybe our children will get interested in looking after a horse and caring for it. You know, it was a rescue horse. So the farmer who showed us this land, he said, why don't you take the whole 15 vigas? We said, for what? We don't need 15 vigas. He said, you can farm. And that's how the idea actually struck. And this one horse here right up front, she's the horse, her name is Ganga. It's thanks to her that Beejom actually started. And today we have a huge number of animals at Beejom. It's not a shelter, it's their forever home. This is their home. And we just look after them. We are here to take care and we are caretakers. So whenever anybody comes to the farm and asks who owns Beejom, we tell them it's the animals, it's their home. And so all these animals have a name, they live with us. Ruku, you can go to the next slide. There are horses and there are geese and there are ducks and there are dogs and cats. That's Kaveri right up front. You can see the big nose. She's a mule. She's from the Kedarnath floods, rescued from there. And then on the left is Rakhi, who has a heart on her. You can see there's a heart-shaped design on her left side. She's an Indian horse. And this one here is Ganga, who you can see with a person standing with a turban, that photograph. And below you can see they're all integrated, they're all living together. These animals on our farm have taught us a lot. They've taught us that you have to be together, you have to be united, you have to live with love and peace and happiness. And they show the way for all of us here. You can see it. Next slide, please. Rukmini, next slide. Yeah, thank you. So we don't even just have the regular animals, which everybody seem to know and like dogs and cats and horses and cows. We also have the really special ones on our farm are our pig and our donkeys. We had 2 pigs. One died during the lockdown because of a heart attack. This fellow, Chandu, he's our spokesperson on the farm. He has a Facebook page to himself. It's got 6,000 some few friends. He's got more friends than me. That's all I know. And he came to us as a rescued piglet. He was rescued by a dog trainer who raised him as a dog. He lived in a 2nd floor apartment, and I would keep joking to the children who come to the farm saying that he was a pig watching Netflix. And suddenly one day the dog trainer said, oh, we need a forever home for him. And he asked us, would you like to keep him forever? We were delighted. And today he's become an icon. He's become a spokesperson to show that we should not discriminate amongst animals. And all animals are the same. All animals need our love. All animals need our compassion. And they're not charity cases. They don't need just our love and compassion. They need to be honored for who they are. Every being on this planet has a place. And actually, that is the kind of learning and messaging that we do at Beejom. We want to say that we are not a shelter. We are not doing a great service to take care of these animals. We need them more than they need us. And it's time humans realized that the planet was not just made for us. It was made for everybody. And every single being on this planet is not just useful to humans. We think if they are not useful to us, they don't belong. And the greatest tragedy is what we think about ourselves. I think the important thing is to know that we are there because of them. Even if the bee disappears in the planet, we are dead. I think you must be reading about this, that the bee is perhaps the most important creature on this planet. Yes. And so I really feel what the important learning that we've got in the last 8 years is to know that we are pretty irrelevant in the scheme of things. And the irrelevant people are all these beautiful animals and birds and plants and everything. We also have a donkey called Jhakas. He recently got married. He has a wife called Jilmil now, and they're the power couple on the farm. Like I say, there's a lot of humor and laughter and fun on the farm. We enjoy the animals. The animals enjoy us. It's very nice. Lots of stories too. Next slide, please. We have goats and we have geese and we have ducks. So everybody asks us, what are you going to do with all these animals? Right. Okay. It's their forever home. And but what is the purpose of these animals on the farm? What is their role? And today, as you know, all our animals have gone to factories. It's called factory farming, where all the domestic animals live in factories, poultry farms, goat farms, where animals are farmed for our pleasure. They never see the light of day. Chicken never get out of their cage. Goats have never eaten fresh grass. Cows have never stepped on soil. They spend all their lives inside a standing in their own place, just sitting and standing. That's it. And they don't even get to walk or roam or see the blue skies or graze freely. So we have a very, our idea of protecting or looking after an animal is very, very wrong. We put them all in cages and think we are taking care of them. We are not. In fact, they are there for our pleasure. These are large factories. And that is why there is so much cruelty and suffering around the world. There is a lot of, what can I say? We have upset the balance of ecology. And if you let animals be, the world is a very different place. So at Beejom, our animals help us. They help us farm. In fact, they run our farm. So as you can see here, the goats are free grazing in our crops there. While they free graze, they manure all our soil. And so automatically our soil becomes very fertile. We don't need to employ labor to, eat up all our weeds if we let them graze. And all the animals therefore have a role. The cows give us, and bulls, we have just not cows, we have lots of bulls, we have 150 cattle. They give us a lot of dung. All that dung is used in various ways to regenerate soil. I will come to that. So every animal on the farm is playing a role that is in a very humane way. And it's very interesting to see how much our soil has grown because of these animals. We rotationally graze them every day. And they live in a very gentle way. They are not troubled. This particular goat on the right, the black fellow, he's no more. He died. But his name is Gabbar, and he had arthritis, and so he could never sit on the floor. So he would use that bamboo as a bench to sit, and so it was always Gabbar Singh and the goats. So these are all rescued goats. They've come from various places. Today they live there forever, life on our farm. The sheep came to us because a truck hit a herd of sheep, a flock of sheep. And out of them, around 5 or 6 sheep got injured. And the goat herd, the shepherd left the sheep with us because they couldn't walk anymore. And today they're all fine, they're strong. And next slide. I'm showing you our animals because they are the core. And then I will get to the main farm. And on the top left of this set of photographs is Tinkulal the duck. He was raised by a sadhu who suddenly realized he doesn't want Tinkulal or the 2 cows he had, and he donated them to us. And Tinkulal had lived alone all his life, so he didn't know he's a duck. So he thought he's a goose, and he's living with the geese now. And eventually now he has his own flock. He's quite happy. And here you can see the geese. Here all the animals get to free range, get to roam around, get to give birth to their young ones in a natural way, get to raise them in a natural way. Every species has a mother, and every mother has her own instincts to raise her child. We think that the right is only available to us, which is sad. We have learned a lot just by observing all these animals, how the geese teach their babies to swim. It's an education by itself to watch them, how they kick their babies in and kick them out, and how they are all so protective. And they look after each other's babies too. And how even amongst cows, we have the very responsible mothers and the very irresponsible mothers, just like humans. There is no difference. We have, and how, look at the top photograph in this set of photographs. You can see Laddu, our dog, sitting with our rooster, Buck. It's amazing how you would never imagine this friendship. It's amazing how they all coexist over a period beautifully with each other. And so you can see the bottom, you can see some school children. We have a lot of school children visiting us. So for those children, this is an eye-opener to watch animals where they belong, on a farm, free, happy, without any pressure, stress, to perform, to produce, to always be available for us. Next slide. And of course, we have our cats and dogs. We have lots of, we try not to take more animals than we can manage because we are not a shelter, but very often we are not able to refuse animals too because some of the cases are so genuine. All these cats have come in by some rescue situation or the other. The black cat in the middle there are 2 cats, Cole and Smokey. They were being raised by a monkey in a cage. Each of them has a story to tell. And we had to send away the monkey to a wildlife center and get the kittens, the cats to us. And that is Sweeto. And we have lots of cats in the farm. We have Oriya, Kit Kat. These are our dogs. The dogs are all over the place too. Next slide. Many dogs are rescued. We have a lot of buffaloes. They all have names. And buffaloes are extraordinary. They are not at all stupid. We usually think buffaloes are very stupid animals, but they are not. They are just very, very calm. While cows are very restless in comparison, buffaloes are extremely calm. So if you're calm, people maybe think you're stupid. But they just are very, very sweet animals. In fact, a buffalo will feed anybody else's child too, while a cow will only feed its own child. Usually, a cow doesn't like. She's very clear, very aware of who the baby is at the udder. While a buffalo is very calm, allows other babies to come and feed. Also, it's a very sweet animal. Next one, please. Yes, these are our cows and our bulls. As once I got into this thing, everything was new to me. When I started, I didn't know these many kinds of breeds of cattle existed. I didn't know we had native goats, native cows, native horses. It's not just indigenous cattle. We have indigenous animals in every part of the world. Every country has its own kind of animals, breeds, right? And within India, we have a magnificent range of dogs, cows, goats, buffaloes. We have 4-5 kinds of buffaloes. We have about 8, 9 or 10 kinds of native dogs, which are all going extinct. We have beautiful range of cattle, many of which have already gone extinct. And I realized every region has a beautiful breed of cattle. So we have the Vechur from Kerala, which is the world's shortest cow. It's in the Guinness Book. And we have the Malnad Gidda from Karnataka. We have Ongol from Andhra Pradesh, Kangayam from Tamil Nadu, Nagori from Rajasthan, Gir from Gujarat, right? Halikar from Karnataka. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, right? And so at Beejom today, when I realized that these cattle are going extinct, I also realized that cattle, there are 3 kinds of cattle. There are draught cattle, dwarf cattle, and milch cattle. We are all interested only in the milch cattle because we want milk, right? So those cattle that give us a lot of milk, those breeds everybody knows. Everyone knows a Gir and a Sahiwal. If you ask people what are the Desi cattle, they'll tell you Gir and Sahiwal. Why? Because they give us a lot of milk. But nobody will know Malnad Gidda. Nobody will know Umpalacheri or a Kasargod. Nobody will know those breeds because they're all dwarf cattle. And the milk yield is very, very low. So before, we had a very sustainable kind of life. Everybody kept cattle, a few cows. And if we had milk, we drank it. If we didn't, we had black coffee or black tea, or we did without it. But today, our demand for milk is unreasonable. We are perennially drinking cold coffees and shakes and ice creams and desserts. I don't think we lived like this in our grandparents' times, right? If you had a festival, you would have a sweet. But today, every day we want cakes and pastries and milkshakes, unlimited quantities of yogurt and milk and tea and coffee. I mean, it's just mind-boggling. And considering our population, the demand for milk is really quite ridiculous. And thanks to that, today, dairy has become a very, very crazy kind of industry where we want milk at all cost. Whether you're giving them antibiotics, whether you're putting injections, whether you're thinning the milk, whether you're contaminating it, it doesn't matter, but milk has to be available, right? And thanks to what they eat, thanks to what they drink and how they live and their stress factors, unfortunately, what you're drinking is probably not milk at all. But nobody really cares as long as that milk gets to them in the morning. So as I studied the dairy industry, I realized there's an enormous health scam happening. There is an enormous sense of tragedy around these animals. It's a crazy life they lead, just getting pregnant again and again and being there just for the milk. And I also realized a whole lot of cattle go unrecognized because of our craze for milk. So we started creating a library of cattle at Beejom. I call it a library because it is really a live library, where you can come today and see about 11 to 12 breeds of wonderful, beautiful cattle. I say cattle because we have about 40% of our cow shed is, cattle shed is got males. So it's not just a Goshala, it's a Nandishala as well. And all our cattle here, it's a no dairy zone. We don't do dairy at all. All our cattle here are curated by us. About 20% of our cattle shed is rescued. We can never refuse all the time. So we do take in the very bad and sad cases so that we can help them. And we have had some tremendous success stories around them too, which I will share. So these are our cattle. We have the Gir, the Sahiwal, the Tharparkar, the Red Sindhi, Kankraj, Rathi, Malnar Gidda, Kangayam, Bechur, Haryani, and a few other. We also have the Golden Kapila. Ruku, can you go to the earlier slide? I missed telling them about the Kapila. Yeah, the bottom, the cows that you can see in black and white are the Kapilas. They belong to the Western Ghats. This particular breed is the Malnar Gidda. They are completely golden in color. If you've read the Panchatantra, you would have read of the golden deer. This is actually the golden cow. And it's like the color of suede. It's beautiful. It's golden from eyes to the tip of their hooves. Absolutely going extinct again because we are so interested in the milk. They're very small because they are, and even the Vechur on top, they're very small and swift-footed because they are on the Ghats. And for the Ghats, you can't have the large cows like the Gir. They'll never be able to climb. So you have the small, nimble-footed cows. Next slide, please, Ruku. And the next slide after this. Yes. So here the cattle are allowed to, we breed very, very carefully, very slowly. We are into cattle preservation and breeding so that we can keep the pool of this, genetic pool of this cattle alive. And we celebrate the quality of cattle. We don't want quantity because there is no need for milk in our, we don't do milk farming, dairy farming at all. So the cow gets a lot of rest between her pregnancies. She is calm. She is able to interact with her young ones. The young ones get all the colostrum, the milk, the love and affection of the mother. So our the children on the farm, the babies, the cattle, male and female, are very, very strong and very happy. Next slide, please. They have like Aadhaar, like we have Aadhaar cards. They have, each of them has a book. They have a name. They have photographs. They are people on the farm. They are persons. They are identified not by a tag or a number. They are identified by a name. And this is, we grow their fodder. You can see the fodder that's freshly grown for them. Next slide, please. Yeah. So once this happened and we decided we are not going to do dairy, the next natural conversation was, so what are we going to do with all this cattle? We have about 150 of them today. So we said, what will we do with them? We have to create an economy around them. Otherwise, how will people adopt our project? How will people think it's a good project to do, just to protect cattle like this? So we realized what they do give us 24/7, 365 days a year without the problem of perishability like milk is dung. They give about 10 to 15 kilos of dung per cow or bull gives us 10 to 15 kilos of dung a day. And it's endless supply. It's coming every day. You don't even need to wait for it. While milk has problems. 9 months of the year, the cow is pregnant and the milk is available only for 4 months. So we realized, let's work with dung. And we started making, 8 years ago, we started a project called Dung Ho. And we named it Dung Ho to celebrate dung. It was a best out of waste project. So we started making cow dung logs. We started making pots. We started making dhoop and mosquito repellent, seed balls. We started making these small starter kits for children where they can plant. And at that point, IIT Delhi approached us. And people were asking us, what is the efficacy of the dung log versus wood? And honestly, we are not scientists, so we didn't know. But since IIT Delhi approached us, we said, why don't you do this project and tell us what the efficacy is? We thought it's a brilliant project because if this can be used instead of wood, wherever, whether it is bonfire, whether it's cremation, whether it's a havan or anywhere that we use wood, then we can save so many trees. So it was killing 2 birds with 1 stone, where we were creating an economy around dung, where we were creating income opportunities for people by creating livelihoods, where we were also creating an environment-friendly project. And to our delight, the IIT people, after doing the whole study, they cremated an unclaimed body taking the permission of the government and everything. And they came to the conclusion that it's far better than wood. It's lovely. So this gave us a lot of motivation for this project. And we've been able to, I think, talk a lot about it thanks to this. Next slide, please. So we make a whole lot of products here. It's a whole livelihood around dung now. It's called dung ho. So we make vermicompost, we make gobar khad. Even our chicken and goat manure is composted and sold, by the way. So our chicken and goats contribute like this too. We have an urban garden kit. We have liquid pest repellents, fertilizers. So lots of stuff. And all packaged. Slowly we started to brand it. This is all packed by us on our farm, all done by hand. It's within our farm itself. We don't look for outside people to do this. It's created a lot of learning and livelihood for us. Next slide, please. So we also have these candles. We also realized if we are celebrating, let us talk about not just compassion, but also the ecology and how much we are spoiling ecology as human beings. Every festival we celebrate is so much about waste. The decorations we do, post a festival, there is so much of garbage piled up everywhere. It's so unsustainable. And I don't think we can go on like this. If we look at the landfills, if we look at how much water and air has been contaminated, if we actually look at the garbage in the ocean, I really do think we're sitting on a time bomb of, I don't know what, and all of us are just like ostriches pretending it'll go on like this. But I don't think it will. We've seen it with COVID that we really need to do something to rein ourselves in. And we thought, what a wonderful way if we can tell people do celebrate, but celebrate sustainably. That is a wonderful way to start. And so we started making these Lakshmi Ganesh, these candles. Anyway, even if you're lighting a candle, don't light the plastic ones, light the better ones. These also, these kind of candles are handmade. There's no waste eventually. Next slide, please. Yeah, and we started creating these kits too. Grow your own wheat grass, cow dung, and this whole list of things that you see here. Cow dung pots, mini dung cakes, cow dung diyas, Lakshmi Ganesh, dung logs, pots with saplings. We started encouraging people to gift saplings instead of gifting useless things that only create more waste. So the whole conversation started becoming better and better around environment, compassion. It started growing for us too. As we did more, we started, our narrative improved. Next slide. Yeah, and all the males. Everybody said, what are you going to do with so many males? It's true, we have lots of males and they can misbehave. So we needed to give them work. Just like children, if you don't channelize their energy, they will start fighting and stuff. So we started all the males now work on the farm. We have a bull power on the farm. Our farm is off the grid, meaning there is no electricity line coming into the farm. So we run purely on energy made by us as far as possible. We do have a generator, but it is used as sparingly as possible. Otherwise, we rely on bull power like this. So using this bull power system, it has a gearbox in this bull power. There's a gearbox to a submersible, which makes the bulls walk at the same speed, but the output is far greater. It's wonderful because they cut their own fodder, they water our fields, and they take turns. We have a bull training academy. So they also go to school at the age of 2. And we have somebody who trains the bulls. The bulls need to learn. And because they don't change hands, because they're never beaten, because they're fed well, because they're cared for, they're calm and they do listen. So we have these bulls are now trained from the age of 2, and they're all like humans, just like human children. There are some who are extremely hardworking and some very lazy. There is one bull we have, if he sees the plow, he'll lie down. So, it's about working with animals. It's taught us so much that, we view them as animals, but we don't see they are persons too. They all come with their own personalities. With each of like you work with each child differently, we work with each animal differently. Each of them has a temperament. Some are eager, some are happy to perform, some are rebellious and say we don't want to work. So it's so interesting how we've learned to understand how to work with these animals. And there are so many skill sets attached to this. Do you know the number of people who work with bulls have diminished now? So even if you go to the villages, you'll find very few people who can work with bulls or train bulls. It's a skill set. Just like teachers, just like you train teachers to become better teachers, you need people with specific skill sets for all this. It's not like anybody can go and catch a bull. It's not possible. So we realize that all these skill sets need to be built, need to be encouraged, need to be grown. So that's why we started a bull training school. And it's wonderful because now we have 8-9 pairs of bulls which are fully trained. And we run this in turn. It's not cruelty at all. If the bulls don't work, they actually fall sick. So just like we go to the gym for 2 hours a day, they need to work somewhere. Then they are tired, they eat better, they sleep better, just like us. Next slide. Yeah. So naturally, once all these animals came and we had all this land, we had to grow food, right? It was the natural progression. And using these animals, the manure they produced and the ecosystem that they had created, we started growing food. 8 years ago, we didn't even know what to grow. We didn't know, when I say we, I mean I, because I really didn't know what grows in the northern plains. I am from Chennai. I hadn't done agriculture in Chennai either. So frankly, I didn't know anything. So I had to start somewhere. And I started Googling. And when I Googled, it was mind-boggling because I realized there are so many types of agriculture. There is traditional agriculture, which we've been following through generations. Back, please go back, Ruku. Sorry. No, the next slide. Yeah. So we had to, and I was wondering, where do I start? And as I read all about permaculture, biodynamic farming, natural farming, there were so many Nammalvar, Bhaskar Save, Masanobu Fukuoka. There were such stalwarts who had written and done and left so much for us to understand. And I finally realized the fundamental rule is grow soil. Because soil is the mother. And if the mother is healthy, anything will grow. If the soil is not built or grown or looked after, you can get the best seeds, you can create the best conditions, but nothing will grow. So I realized that the fundamental rule is soil regeneration. And as I read about soil regeneration, I realized how much of our world is degraded today. Our topsoil is completely degraded. We have done so much of chemical agriculture. All our topsoil is got contaminated. And if not for this topsoil, we'll all be dead. That is a tragedy. And I don't think we've realized that. Soil regeneration became our... And we started talking about how to conserve water, how to grow soil, what all ways can we use. And these were the ways. All that you learn in our geography textbook, probably in CBSE class 5 or 6, I think we learned these things. But it all came alive again in the field for me. Multi-cropping, intercropping, companion planting, crop rotation, composting, mulching, green manuring. These are all so many, there are so many, it's all scientific ways of growing soil, which our ancestors have done all through these centuries. It's nothing new. They knew how to do this. They knew what grows with what. They knew what will improve soil, what takes away from soil. They also knew what you take away, you have to give back. And that is sustainability. Sustainability is not simply taking. If you keep taking, then one day it will be over. It's a simple logic. So if you don't keep putting back, then one day you'll be stuck with nothing in your bank. Similarly, if you want to take from soil, you have to keep giving back to soil. It was a simple concept. And so we started using all kinds of techniques. So we created some principles on the farm. Nothing will be wasted. Everything has to go back. Segregation will be done. The little plastic that we do generate is segregated. Nothing from our farm goes to the landfill. Everything is composted. Nothing on the farm is wasted. We conserve even water. Even the water that is washed, that we used to wash the cow sheds, go to the fields. Everywhere we were watching ourselves to see where all are we wasting, where all can we save, where all can we give back. Where all can we make sure waste does not happen? Where all can we reduce our carbon footprint? If we ask ourselves, we are creating carbon footprint every minute of our day. And to be fair to us, I don't think we can completely stop it. Now, can I say I'll never go in a car? I don't think that's possible. I will use a car. But at least watch yourself. Where we can reduce. That's the kind of attitude by which we started. Then we started to understand what else works. Embrace nature. Without nature, you have to take nature into your confidence to grow. You can't think you can outwit or you can leave nature aside to grow. And that is what chemical farming is. Chemical farming is when you try to leave nature out and grow without nature. Where you put a lot of urea in your field, you run a tractor, you use hybrid seeds and think you have succeeded. But you have not. Because when you do chemical farming, every year your soil only gets worse. Soil doesn't get better. And every year you need more and more urea because the soil is getting weaker and weaker. Then you need more, and the more urea you use, the more denuded your soil is. So eventually your costs will go up. Because at one point, your soil, instead of being soft like coffee powder, will become hard and cracked. You'll need more tractors, so more diesel, so more hybrid seeds. Because you more hybrid seeds, more pesticides. And because things are not growing, more urea. So the cycle becomes, and because of urea, more water, because the soil becomes very thirsty. It's like you eating a lot of salt. When you eat a lot of salt, you feel thirsty. Exactly what happens when you put urea to the soil. So then finally, what you're left with is unsustainable agriculture. So if you want to start the right way, I realized I have to go and do organic farming. But what is organic farming? What is organic? Do we know? Today, when we say organic farming, we only know one thing, no chemicals. Everybody knows that. But what is organic farming? Or what is organic? What does being organic meaning? Organic farming is it's a way of life. Being organic is a way of life. It's not about just not putting chemicals. Khet se pet tak, from the field to your fork, everything has to be sustainable. Everything, every act you do, including packaging, has to be green. If I grow a lot of palak without any chemicals and package it in this much plastic, I'm not very sure I'm being organic. Right? So we had to watch our journey. We had to find natural ways of cultivation. We had to avoid chemicals, but use and find things that we can use within the farm. Usually organic farmers, they are saying they don't put chemicals, but all their inputs are from outside. From outside. They don't make anything. They use outside fertilizers. They call it organic fertilizer, but they use outside fertilizers. They don't mulch. They don't water conserve. They don't grow seasonally. They have greenhouses which have air conditioners. So eventually they are growing without chemicals, but they are not sustainable. So therefore, we started watching ourselves to see how we can grow. Next slide. Next slide. Yeah. And over a period, this is what happened to us. When I started growing organically, I met one elderly auntie in a party. She asked me, what are you doing? I said, Auntie, I've started growing food. I'm very pleased with myself. She said, what do you grow? I said, Auntie, I'm growing some mooli and some wheat. And at that point, I was growing 2-3, my first 2 months of farming. She said, you know, my husband worked in a sugar factory and we was staying on 1 acre of land somewhere in UP. She said, I grew everything but salt. This struck me. And I said, how beautiful. Imagine growing everything but salt. And so I took this as a challenge and slowly we created a crop calendar that today, I think we are virtually growing everything but salt, honestly. Because the northern part of India is blessed. It's blessed with an extraordinarily beautiful river system, all mountain snow-fed rivers from the Himalayas. So it's a beautiful web of rivers across the north. And we have temperatures ranging from 0 to 45. What is actually considered a curse is actually a blessing. We can grow everything from winter to summer crops. While in the south, we can only grow a limited variety of crops because of the weather, right? You can't grow wheat in the south. You can't grow mustard in the south. So that is what embracing nature means, I suppose, because we just embraced 0 to 45 and said, how wonderful. What can we do with 0 to 45? And we realized we can do a whole lot. Usually that's what we curse about this area. We say, oh, it's so cold, it's so hot. Look at the loo and look how freezing it is. But this is exactly what worked to our advantage. So we had the Kharif, the Rabi, and the Zaid. We could do all three. These are the three growing seasons in India. The Kharif is where we are now. It's the monsoon season. Rabi is our winter crops. And Zaid comes just after spring. It's a small window cropping season. So then we started growing really everything. But it wasn't easy because the average farmer in India only knows 3-4 crops. He doesn't grow more. They've stopped multi-cropping. They're all monocroppers today, mostly, meaning they do 3-4 crops and that's it. So to learn all these variety of crops, meaning millets, paddy, rice, corn, barley, oats, okay, then legumes, whether it was all the kinds of dals, chana, rajma, all the 4-5 dals that we use in our kitchens, and then oil seeds, till, groundnut, sunflower, all the oil seeds that we use, except coconut, which will not grow in the north. Then herbs, all kinds of herbs that grow up north in all these seasons. Vegetables, it was mind-boggling just the number of vegetables we could grow in these 3 seasons. And fruits. So fruits was something we had to really start from scratch because it was a leased land and we couldn't really grow fruit trees there. So we later on bought a small piece of land further into UP, and there we've now grown a food forest over the last 5 years. It's a remarkable place. That's a different project altogether, but this is how we started. Today, this is our diversity. You can see how much we are growing. There is so much food that we grow over the year that sometimes we find it hard to manage. Next slide. This is our food forest. Yes, it's in Hapur. Somebody's asked me whether it's in Hapur. So this is in Hapur. It's 7 acres. And here all we've done is let things be, literally. It's 7 acres of 0 till. A tractor cannot enter because look how dense it is. We have let things be. It's regeneration of soil at its best. Things grow beautifully. And even in our main farm where we started this whole thing, the first 2 years was very bad because of the chemical agriculture that was practiced before this. The soil was very denuded and very, very poor. And over 2-3 years of soil regeneration with various methods, we used a liquid slurry called Jivamrit. It's wonderful. It's an inoculant. It's a microbial, liquid that we can make on our own. And the 4th day, it's lovely. It's stinking and it's really great culture. And we inoculate the soil with that. We do that every time we water our fields. It is so remarkable with just a few of these techniques like mulching, never leaving, a lot of intercropping. We have realized that we now in the 8th year, we ourselves never use the pest repellents we make. We don't need to. The balance has been achieved. Just like our bodies. When there is an imbalance in our body, that's when disease happens, right? And we often hear about it. And the best way to create balance in our body is to allow nature to heal it, to take care of it, give it less stress, eat well, sleep well, and it's the same principles on the land also. Allow soil to be stress-free. Don't put urea in it. Don't come and bring big blades with tractors and plow it and kill the earthworms and disturb the cycles. When you do that, then naturally you're left with some crazy soil. Here we've done exactly the opposite. We've allowed nature to take over. We've allowed soil to grow. We've allowed the insects to come in. We've welcomed the insects. Chemical agriculture fears insects. We all fear it. If you see any insect in your garden, you'll say, oh, it's going to eat up my vegetables. It's going to No, there is a pattern in nature. We have to trust it. For every insect, there is a foe and a friend. And they come with a certain cycle. We read about life cycles and stuff on our
light off.
We read about life cycles on our in our biology. This is what it is. And you can see here that this was a sugarcane field 5 years ago. Today, it has no resemblance to a sugarcane field. It is full of greenery. Next slide. Now, what do we do with so much produce? We started producing lots and lots of things. And we realized not everything can be sold fresh. We had, suppose we had a lot of fruit and we couldn't sell fast. We needed to find ways. I also started understanding how farmers' economy works, and I was shocked. I was shocked to see how little farmers earn for the amount of work they put in. This is the reason also why agriculture is becoming, unpopular profession. People now don't want to practice agriculture. It's a sad thing because while we are all talking so much of science and technology and progress and industrialization, let's face it, we all exist for those 3 meals in a day. And if we didn't have those 3 meals, no amount of money in your bank can help you. You've seen that during COVID. When there was a lockdown, you had money in your bank, but if you had no access to food, you were dead. So I think as humans, we have failed. We are so full of ourselves. We fail to realize that it's for these 3 meals that we actually exist. Everything else is secondary. Who will grow these 3 meals for you if people go away from agriculture? And the greatest fear that we face today is the migration from villages. People are going away. People don't want to do agriculture. They think it's not a great profession. And I don't know if they are wrong, because unless the farmer earns, there is no reason for him to stay. If he thinks he can make a better life being a lift operator or a rickshaw puller or have a fruit, sell fruits, on the roadside, you can imagine how bad his state is as a farmer. We have brought this upon ourselves because we cannot see that all these people who are around us in the cities are people who have migrated from villages, leaving their 10 bigas of land, 5 bigas of land, 8 bigas of land to do a small job. But these people are required. They're an army that we need. We need these people back in the villages. So I realized the importance of farmers. We are not even aware of their importance. Otherwise, tomorrow we are staring at a situation where we will have to import our food. That's what will happen in the next generation when we don't have enough farmers. And honestly, no amount of mechanization can replace the human. There is a limitation. Mechanization means carbon footprint again. So we are getting into a bigger trap than we know. So we need to go back. We need to encourage farming. We need to encourage people to become farmers, and we need to incentivize that profession. They need to earn the most so that they can grow for us. So that's the idea from which this value addition came up. I realized that farmers need to start selling their produce themselves. If they start giving the produce to middlemen, then you, for instance, you buy potatoes at 40 rupees a kilo. The farmer actually in the field gets 2 rupees. Where does the 38 rupees go? It's not going to him. It's his effort. So why will he want to continue this profession? We are getting better mobiles. We are buying better homes. We are wearing better clothes. Our lifestyle improves, but we expect him to stay there and grow. They have aspirations too. So if those aspirations need to be met, if we need to be fair, then we need to make them earn. And then I realized this is the best way. We need to learn to value add our own produce. The farmers need to become good businessmen too. Farmers need to become entrepreneurs. Farmers need to set up small businesses which they can themselves run. And that's the way they can make their money. And even from a customer's point of view, suppose you come today to Beejom and ask me the story of this jam, I can tell you. The story of the pickle, I can tell you. It is not a nameless, faceless product in a big bazaar shop. where there is just pipe music and a cart, but you don't know any story. But if you come to Beejom, you'll know what the power of this food, the fact that there was no chemicals, the fact that it's handmade, the fact that it is limited edition, the power that there are only 100 bottles of this beautiful product. That is the power of the marketing that you can do. So I realized the beauty of this, and we started value adding. And everything now, the wheat becomes bread, the fruit becomes jam, the vegetables become pickle. And frankly, this is the power of what our ancestors have left behind also, a legacy of dehydration, pickling, bottling, preserving. We do have it. We've all seen our grandmothers and mothers do it at home, but they do it in a small scale. Today, those skills are also lost. None of us do it at home. We all just go buy it from somewhere. And most of the native fruits, native vegetables, native foods are going, because we eat those 4 things that are available in the market only, nothing else. We've stopped eating something like a turkey berry, a sundaka, which you call, it's rarely available now, a vattal. You know, small things. Every corner of India has its own cuisine, its own native foods, its own native recipes, which are now slowly vanishing. Next slide. This is our pickling. It's done in the old traditional way. You can see the lovely baranis. Just seeing them makes me very happy. And it's very nice to see how beautiful hand-grown produce converts into something we can preserve. You would have heard of reports where in Maharashtra, farmers are throwing tomatoes on the side of the road because it's selling at 1 rupee a kilo. It's criminal. In a country where half the people are starving, should we not immediately make sure that tomato can be upgraded to something, a sauce, a pickle, some way to preserve it, some way to reach it to people? And it's not the only story. You go around in India, you'll see how much food is wasted, how many grains are rotting, and we still have a starving population, right? So that is why food is a very, very important story. It's a very important journey to talk about. It's very important to make this part of our school curriculum, our syllabus. It's very important to make these skill sets part of education. We think that somebody will do it. The farmer is growing, the farmer will value add, farmer. No, I think we are only teaching our children to read and write. It's not enough. They should know where their food comes from, how it is grown, what pains is taken to produce it and deliver it to their table. These days, if you ask a child where is milk from, they say buttermilk from Avin or Mother Dairy. I don't know how many of them, when they're old enough, only they realize it's from a cow. How many have seen a cow? How many have milked or seen? How many have seen? There is a lady who came to our farm, an adult, who didn't know potatoes grow under the ground. It's not her fault. It's a failure of our system. We are so far removed from our food today, right? It's coming in packets to us. Now there's Swiggy. It's even worse. You don't even have to cook anymore. You just have to open your mouth and eat. That's it. So we are getting more and more detached from, and then we talk about bad health. Then we talk about clean food. We can't be armchair activists. If we want to participate, then we have to step in every way we can. Start by segregation, composting, tell the children in your schools, in your homes about it. Best vehicle our children, because they are our future. So for me, this learning has also been it's taught me that we have to share. We have to make people aware, which is why I was so delighted about today's invitation, because it's another opportunity for me to say what I keep saying every single day. Next slide. So growing food is a very long journey. It's so much long, you don't realize every grain of rice you eat is precious, should not be wasted, because this is how long it takes. This is how much effort it takes to produce it. And there's so much luck in it. It's like a gamble every time. The rains have to come at the right time. The sun has to shine at the right time. There should be no storm. And so it's only when I started growing that I realized that when you start growing, when you sow the seed, that's why they start with a prayer saying, let there be no obstacles and can we get a good harvest. It's far tougher than we realize. Next slide, please. It's also a lot of hard work and mostly goes unseen, unrecognized. The women are the workforce of the rural area. And honestly, if not for the women, your agriculture will be impossible. They work very, very hard, the men too. There's a lot of physical activity, as you can see. These are skill sets. This is not labor. I try to emphasize this to as many people as I can. Can you and I try squatting in this field for 8 hours? We practice yoga just to be able to squat. These people squat for 8 hours a day and do it every single day. It's a skill set. They start small, they start young. It's like teaching a child to hold a pencil very young. You can't suddenly make it happen. It's an evolution. You start, and education is a very slow process. Like that, these people, the children take up this profession. They watch their parents, they watch their uncles and aunts. They observe, they learn how to weed, they learn how to sow, they learn how to plant, they learn how to watch for pests. They learn about when rains will come, which cloud signals, what kind of storm. It's an education. So you can't suddenly place a man inside this field and say, now do agriculture. It's a skill set. It's a skill set that is honed. So these are very valuable people. And I have learned to have a deep respect for this community who have more himmat than all of us put together. Because at 47 degrees, you try doing this for 5 hours a day, you'll realize the value of the grain that you eat. Next. So then we produce so much grain. We're growing millets, we are growing paddy. We grow 4 or 5 kinds of paddy. We have Kala Namak from UP. It is the rice Gautam Buddha ate. It is as old as that. It's been revived today by the UP government. It's fantastic. It's a beautiful grain that's been revived. We grow the Navara. You would have heard of Navara Kiri in Kerala, the Ayurvedic way of, So Navara is a healing rice. It is supposed to heal you. We grow Navara. And we grow a local variety of basmati called Madhusugandh. Right? We grow matta rice, which is the red matta rice in UP. It's a Kerala rice, but we're growing it in UP. So we grow some amazing varieties of paddy. We also grow 5 varieties of wheat. We grow the wheat that was even eaten by the pharaohs in Egypt, the emmer wheat. So, I don't know how much. Before, I just knew I ate wheat. I didn't know what wheat was beyond that. Now I understand what wheat is. So the need to educate ourselves about what is the food that we eat, what is the kind of wheat, how to eat that wheat. The wheat that you're eating from the market that comes to you in 5 and 10 kilo packs is nothing but maida, because the bran is removed, everything is removed, it is sifted away and taken away. If you really eat a proper roti, it should tear like paper, not pull. So I understood the value of the roti that a good roti looks like. What does it look like? Unpolished grain. Our tastes are now so used to refined food. To eat brown rice, people find it tough. Even I found it tough initially. Now I've learned to eat it. Next slide. So today we have a Kirana Dukan selling all these kind of, all our produce. You can see, and we sell it directly. This is all the kinds of varieties of wheat, dalia, atta. So we don't sell wheat as it is. We value add it to something and sell it directly. So the profit is maximum. It also gives us an opportunity to talk, to educate people, to discuss food, to explain what has reached their table, why it is like this, and also to give them recipes, make them enjoy their food better. It's an amazing building of community that we've been working at. Next one, please. This is our Kirana Dukan on our farm. We have a kitchen next to it, which has a wood-fired oven. It's called Khet Se Pet Tak. So we not only grow, we also feed people. Because when you now tell them about bajra, jowar, kangani, kodo, they say, what is all this? When you go to the average Kirana Dukan, the only grain you see is rice and wheat, nothing else. Because there is nothing else. And now these great multigrain and millets have become rich man's food. It's available in some organic store somewhere. When actually this was staple farmers' diet. Ragi is something we fed our children for generations. Today it is some superfood for some reason. Where did we go wrong? Where did we stop eating ragi? Today all the people who come to our farm ask us, how do you make ragi? What do you do with it? So we've started talking again about all these foods that we've lost, that we've forgotten. And we also, that's why there's a kitchen on the farm as well, where we cook and serve. Next slide. Community. Building community has become our biggest job. And unless we share, talk, communicate, make people come, watch the animals, eat our food, watch things grow, this magic cannot be shared. It's a very important message, especially for children who, with the kind of digital world we live in, they're getting further and further away from reality. So this is a wonderful way to bring them back to reality. Now we've started doing online sessions too with every school. We do a walk through our farm and take the children through to see all the animals and discuss all this on an online session. It's wonderful. But we've also tried to reinvent ourselves because of the pandemic and our inability to connect this way. So these are all school children who come. We conduct summer workshops. We also have school of our own where we have farmers' kids who I'll show you the thing. But usually children are naturals. Once they come, they don't want to go. Who would want to leave this magical world full of animals and plants and space to run around, stories? And in the process, they learn all the science. They learn pollination, they learn fertilization, they learn about farm animals. It's an old McDonald's farm that's come alive for them. Whether they are in primary school or middle school, if it's middle school children, they learn about all science of agriculture, how things grow, how do things look, right? Seasons, crops, and the way farmers work. It's all coming alive for them. Next slide, please. So we conduct workshops, we conduct demonstrations, we have compassion workshops, we have pledges. That's an earth pledge that's being taken by the students at a summer camp. We have a school that visits us, and we have all the NCR schools come to us. So when they come, we do an animal ramp walk, where the animals come in and on a ramp walk, like a modeling walk, and every animal is introduced to the children, and the children go for a nature walk. They get to smell peppermint, feel aloe vera, see the birds, look at how dirty the Yamuna is. And we talk about how important it is to keep Yamuna. Even that is an opportunity for us. It's not something we want to hide. We want to show them why the Yamuna is dirty and how we can help it. So I hope when they come to our farm, I just keep thinking, like Abdul Kalam said, igniting minds. I just keep imagining that, my God, I hope they never forget this. And somewhere in their life, they bring it back, this memory. Next slide, please. So like Jane Goodall said, you aren't going to save the world on your own, but you might inspire a generation of kids to save it for all of us. You would be amazed at what inspired children can do. Next slide. This is it. This is about conversations on the farm. It's called Chowk Pe Charcha. Charcha is important. Keep the conversation going, whether it's adults, whether it's children, whether it's food, whether it's crops, whether it's composting, whether it's every single conversation is important. Next. We have all these things happening on our farm. We have Beejom for us, because community is not just urban community. Urban communities to whom we talk about our projects, but it's the rural community that is our backbone, which help us. And for them, we have a rural public health clinic where we have an OPD twice a week for free, where any farmer in the region can come and take a consultation. It's helped them enormously. We have a self-help group for farmers. We have Beejom Shiksha, which is a rural learning center for children. We have the Dangho project. These are all our projects within the farm. Next slide, please. We conduct awareness. This is our menstrual health day. We celebrated this only 10 days ago on the farm for rural women. These are our teachers and people from the self-help group. All wonderful, wonderful, talented and energetic people who add color and life and personality to the whole farm. Next. They make these lovely craft. They can make anything they see. Remember, all the folk arts, the music, the dance, the handicraft, everything comes from the rural community. It is the richest community we have, our villages. It's every craft in India, every type of music, all art forms, everything have originated there in every region of India. And I really do think we should celebrate the villages, therefore, because of the kind of talent they have. This is our learning center. We had about 120 kids before lockdown. Now we have about 70. These are children who we encourage children to go to school, but those who don't go anywhere, we first bring them here to give them 2 hours a day or 4 hours a day of our time, depending on the age group. They get one meal and they get mentoring. Afternoons are for children who are going to school but don't have support at home. So we give them tuitions, free assistance, so that they can cope in school. And because the parents are not educated, it's very hard for them to sometimes cope with the curriculum in school, right? So this is our learning center. We have wonderful teachers, 3-4 of them, who help all the children. And it's a learning center. So all the age groups sit together and they are divided within the classroom according to their abilities. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is our happiest moments when we have a captive audience of 50 kids. It's like we're very, very happy then. Next one, please. So these are our projects. We have a rural community outreach programs. The Beejom Pustakalaya is something that we are just starting. We got stalled because of COVID in the last 2 years, and we have now restarted many of our projects. The Pustakalaya is the dream to have a rural library for children. Reading is everything. I think we visit many countries and meet many people just through books. We don't need to travel. It's the greatest way to travel, if you ask me. I knew about what an English picnic looks like much before I ever went anywhere in the world, just because I read Enid Blyton. So I think books give us a wonderful window to go into the another world and be someone else for a little while, and it improves our vocabulary, it improves our expression, it makes us more sensitive. So I think reading is the greatest gift you can give a child. And what is not there for rural children are books. They don't have enough books. So we are trying to create this model of Pustakalaya, which a lot of people are doing. It's the need of the day. And we do Astrijan, Arogya and Siksha. And rural nutrition is a big, not rural, I think nutrition is a big concern, but rural nutrition more so. Not that urban children have great nutrition. They are also eating nonsense. But so the greatest and easiest way to have great nutrition is Saag and Sattu. Nutritionists in the hospitals tell very poor people go and have apple and orange. I don't think they can afford it. So we are looking at options to give them optimum nutrition with the least cost. And nothing better than our Sattu Mavu in the south or Sattu in the north. It is an amalgamation of legumes and grains and nuts and everything. And Saag, nothing better than Saag or Chira. Since a lot of you do speak Malayalam, I will say Kirai or Chira or Saag. It's the greatest, source of folic acid and iron. It's the greatest for you, children and women and even men. Dung ho and millets. We encourage a lot of millets on the farm. It makes great fodder for our cows, cattle. And millets grow in very poor soil with very less water. I don't know why we keep growing rice, which is water intensive. Unless the region is got a lot of water, great rainfall and clay soil, one should not grow paddy. One should only grow millets and other grains. It's a waste of water. So we have an urban community outreach where we have the Mandi, which is a farmer's market every Saturday, school visits, workshops. We run a community food garden in the heart of Delhi with the Aga Khan Foundation. We do a lot of afforestation by growing native trees, saplings, and also seed balls, which we teach children to make so that they can go and afforest the world. The greatest joy is to grow a tree. And at policy work, we are trying to ideate a farm school curriculum for rural areas. I think the greatest fault is in our curriculum where we have a one-size-fits-all policy. Maybe we need a different structure for different spaces. And I don't know if we have thought that through. So we are thinking, wouldn't it be nice if rural kids had more skill sets included in their syllabus where they can benefit more than from just giving them a very boring and standard syllabus. Our urban kids too. I think we can work with our syllabus using the kind of template we've created at Beejom. We have, our dream is to open an animal law center where we talk about animals in the law. It's something very close to our heart, and creating modules and books that would document the learning on the farm. Next slide, please. Yeah, so the foundation is a beautiful word that has been recently coined called permaculture. Permaculture is permanent agriculture. In recent times, when we thought modern education is the best thing that we've done to society, we started saying there is no culture in agriculture, which is the greatest problem today. People think there is no culture in agriculture. Culture is, I think, culture is found in agriculture. That's where it all begins. And that's where you'd find all the learnings. All this is available in agriculture. Aquaculture, health, trees, energy, soil, nature, education. I mean, look at the number of topics that it touches. Next slide. So what is Beejom? This is Beejom today. This is what we do. This is what we stand for. It's a very, very long journey in 8 years. 8 years ago, when I was sitting under a jamun tree and staring at a piece of land where I didn't know what I'm going to do with, I didn't expect this to grow. It has grown very organically by itself. That's why I said organic is a way of life. We haven't planned or engineered it. We just realized it's like a large puzzle that keeps forming. It keeps fitting one into the other. We keep finding solutions, better ways to live, better ways to be and exist on this planet, better ways to give, and to accept that we are not the only people living on it. It's actually a very beautiful journey and a very humbling journey. Next slide, please. This is the team without which none of this would be possible. I represent them here today. I am not the only one doing this. These are all people, each of whom do so much every single day at Beejom for it to happen. We've also grown as a family in these last few years. And it's thanks to them. We've all learned together. So we have farmers from 7 states of India. They have all brought with them their own skill sets, their own knowledge, their own ideas, views, and that's how it runs. We are about, I think from 7-8 states, we have people here in this farm. It's just wonderful. And we've all realized that unity lies in diversity. It's the best way to be. Next slide. I think there is only one. So yeah, Masanobu Fukuoka is one of the greatest persons I know. And he, over a period, he was actually a scientist. And this is what he said. And it resonates so much with me. The ultimate goal of farming is not the growing of crops, but the cultivation and perfection of human beings. I think we have grown more people at Beejom than we have grown crops. Each of us have had to evolve from knowing nothing to knowing whatever we know today. That's growing people. That's how the whole project evolved. Next slide. Yes. So this is what we need to honor actually. And we need to go back to nature. We need to learn to respect nature. And we need to know that we exist because of her. And we need to live alongside and embrace her. I think that's the last slide. And I'm just taking you to our socials. Those of you who would like to connect with us can connect on our Facebook, or I will leave my numbers with Smita. You can take it from her. And any questions or any comments or any conversations, please, I'm open to them.
Actually, we are speechless. You can, Rahima ma'am, you can stop the screen sharing.
Hi, ma'am. This is Venkateshan from Chennai. Good evening.
Good evening.
I am very proud that you are from Chennai also. I came to know about Beejom and about you when I got the notification in Instagram.
Right.
I was so surprised to know about your Goshala. Sorry to say this as a Goshala because I was searching for the Goshala by the time. So I came to know about you. The most surprised one for me is the cow dung logs because I don't know before that. because though I came from an agriculture family, we came to know that manure of the cow dung or the variety of the cow dung, where we are saying in the Tamil word as a variety kind of thing. When I see that cow dung, it's so amazing kind of a thing, because the value addition, what you're doing is kind of at par to the industrial fuel kind of a thing, because it has the caloric value, though it's not going to be at par of the caloric value of the industrial fuel kind of a thing. But at least we can try something to enhance the caloric value and do it. If we are successful in that, India is most energetic way of doing it without any natural way of fuels kind of a thing. That much impression I got it from you actually.
In fact, I keep saying that no Goshala should be given the license to operate unless they have a cow dung log, what can I say, set up functioning. All crematoriums across the country should be asked to give this as a choice so that we can opt for less wood or wherever wood is used. But the maximum load is in a crematorium, so I'm mentioning that. So I think we need to take some fundamental steps that less trees can be cut. This also gives a great rural employment option and sustainable option, that people can make something best out of waste for the benefit of society. So yes, it is one of my favorite products too. Correct.
Exactly, ma'am. Even though they are using the electrical cremation kind of a thing, even again the power can be saved.
Yes, that's also got a carbon footprint. Absolutely.
Yes. And I'm telling my people here, those who are having the number of cows more than 100 kind of a thing, I'm giving your thing as a role model to them. We will see how it is.
Thank you. Done. And this is also a great compassionate gesture on our part, because if you do a business with dung, then all barren cows, all cows that don't have the opportunity of being useful in a dairy can also be valuable. Therefore, they get a place, and people will look after them because there is an economic value even to them. So I felt that this is a great compassionate industry as well to kind of encourage. Bulls too. All the bulls roaming on the road,
Exactly, ma'am. Because the cow or bulls or calf, whatever it is, the cow dung, what we are generating is per day is like 5 to 7 kgs minimum. Even if they give proper food or proper grass and other things, we can even achieve 10 kgs also. So it is enormous kind of a source.
No, so then they will feed them better because they want 10 kgs.
Exactly. Exactly. And one more thing I want to know from you, this bricks what you made, I have seen in Insta page, the cow dung bricks.
That's a new project.
It's a project. Actually, I want to know about that also. I thought of calling you and ask what is the result of that. Maybe if you are able to tell me here.
So we have just made the bricks. We are making a cottage with it.
Okay.
We are going to do the same kind of testing that we did for the logs.
Okay.
Before we kind of encourage people, it's a great way of, the traditional cob housing, which has become ecological constructions, which have become very popular.
Exactly.
Today, I'm trying to evolve a better project which is easier. If it's a brick form, it's much easier to build up. But for me, the excitement in this is we can make great. It can make great housing for the poor.
Exactly.
Currently, they're living under polythene sheets and asbestos, which is all so terrible. So if we can produce bricks on a great scale and that will create an economy as well. It creates livelihood to produce those bricks. You'll pay someone and that person gets a livelihood. And the cow dung waste is used again. So it's a best out of waste project. It's sun dried. So there is no carbon footprint. And we can make great, lovely homes for these, for the lesser economically disadvantaged people. So I was a bit excited about it, but let's see how it pans out.
Exactly, because I'm so curious to know about the results of that in a way of structural values kind of a thing. Because when we go for a replacement of RCC kind of a thing, we should know the structural value of this. So even I am also interested if I am having an opportunity to work with this kind of a farming. First one, I want to take this kind of a cow dung enrichment kind of a thing.
Wonderful.
And I would like to know one more thing also from you. Now this chemical fertilizers, you know the prices and all. So you know the potash price of today around about 30 plus kg per kg. Since the earlier days, we used to do this ash kind of a thing. Even this cow dung can be converted into ash form and enriched with the potash.
So,
thing.
At Beejom, we sell cow dung ash also.
Okay.
Sell them in packets.
Okay.
People have not, and we sell Ghanjivamrit, which is nothing but,
Yeah, I know. Ganajivamritam. I know.
DAP it is.
Yes.
So I keep telling people, if we can grow all this food just using all these aids which we have made on the farm, anyone can grow food. But unfortunately, I mean, we have to start hand-holding farmers to believing that small pockets, if they have 10 bigas, we should tell them convert 1 or 2 bigas and try. Exactly. And once they master it, then slowly move, they can themselves shift to greater, larger, but they should start, and I think they should become a very, every district should adopt this training model, take them, handhold them and do it slowly, step by step, so that it can be achieved in a realistic and sustainable manner. Exactly, ma'am.
And one more thing, the last one, sorry, I'm holding a few minutes with you. The paints what Khadi has developed it. Khadi paints from cow dung. Khadi paints from cow dung. So have you tried that? How is it? Because the industrial paints have a larger demand. In case if you are going for a industrial paints kind of a thing, then we can replace the chemical paints also. So,
I think there are alternatives everywhere, and I think it's up to people to explore this and see how it can be translated into something more large scale and real. That will take a bit of time, but I'm glad the conversations have started. Even if not completely replacing it, we should have options. That's my point of view.
Exactly, ma'am. Thanks a lot. It's like a virtual travel today, because since I'm sitting in Chennai, I used to think multiple kilometers kind of a thing when we are going to visit Beejom kind of a thing. When I saw that first day that Instagram notification, I decided to come to your farm. But fortunately, today you made a virtual show to us.
Please do visit sometime. Thank you.
Exactly, ma'am. I missed you in the seed fair here in Chennai last 2 months before, when Mr. Anand was organized that.
Yes.
Today it's a fortunate day. I am with you. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. That was a wonderful session. You have taken us through a next level of thinking about organic farming and saving of animals. And I'm sure each and every person who have attended the session would definitely imbibe the valuable information which you have shared today. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It was my pleasure completely. Thanks a lot.
Can we get the numbers to contact you, Aparna?
Yeah,
I would like to visit. So is there any particular day which is more favorable?
So I must tell you, for anyone, the farm is open every day. It's open to everybody. You can come in the anytime between 10 to 6.
You're living my dream.
Please do come. We never expected this to be, for us also, sometimes it's a dream. Even now we pinch ourselves to say,
I've been thinking about Fukuoka, and I've been, my husband's in a government job. So in these houses only, I practice natural farming.
Oh, lovely. So, which is also what I want to tell people, that, you don't need a farm to do this. You can do it at home in your own.
And struggling with your neighbors and your malis and telling them it can work.
Yes.
You don't need
the farm is just a template, but it can be in any space. Yes. I think if we can all just be compassionate, kind, and earth-loving wherever we are. The purpose is served.
Yeah, so I would love to come and visit, because I would like to learn.
Thank you. Please do come anytime.
Yes. Please share your numbers and everything.
Yeah. Okay? Beejom is on Google Maps for those who are in Delhi and NCR.
Yeah.
So if you access Google Maps, you'll find us.
Okay.
And I will, to Smita, I will share the our numbers, and you can please.
I follow you on Facebook. So there was a gondi-like fruit. What was it in the 2 weeks back in your basket? There was
Lasura.
Oh, Lasoda. I've been looking for it.
Blueberry.
So do you still have it?
I know now the season is over. It's called blueberry.
I know I make achar, na, so yahan market mein available hi nahi hai. Mera
So that's what I meant by native foods. It's very interesting because these, you know, blueberry, the blueberry used to be used to make glue for post offices in India. That is the history of this tree. It's called Lasuda.
It's a very popular achar in our house.
Yeah, a lot of people in the north love it. It's very nice. The south people may not know about it.
It's very popular. Even in Sarojini, every day my driver would go and he would come back empty-handed.
Yes, that's one of the wonderful things we've learned to appreciate what grows here seasonally. Falsa, karonda, you know, this lasura, and all those beautiful native.
Yeah, my father had a farm actually, and he had falsa and one small amla kind of thing called harfa revdi, which is I think it's called a star amla.
Yes, we have it. Correct. Arinelika.
It's a wonder what you have in 7 acres, because I thought 7 acres.
Yeah.
Hello, I'll come and visit. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you, Meeta ma'am. I hope your doubts have been cleared. Okay, then we'll wind up with a vote of thanks. I would like to welcome Ramya ma'am for the vote of thanks.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Good evening. Good evening to one and all gathered here on this wonderful evening. I would like to present the vote of thanks. We take this golden opportunity to thank you, the respected chief guest of this webinar, Mrs. Aparna Rajagopal ma'am, for attending this webinar in her busy schedule. We will cultivate the advice you gave us in real life. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. I extend my gratitude, the respected faculty of NCDC, our Smita ma'am, not only for spending this time with us today, also for encouraging and coordinating this program. Thank you, ma'am. And we had some guests from outside also. So I shared my sincere thanks for them. Now I would like to thank our energetic and smart anchors, Anjali ma'am and Nilsha ma'am. Thank you. It's my pleasure. What?
Yeah, thank you so much, Ramya ma'am.
Thank you.
Would wind up the session with the national anthem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
I would like to welcome Sana ma'am for the national anthem.
I request everyone to please stand up for the national anthem. Janagana mana adhinayaka jaya he Bharat bhagya vitata Punjab Sindh Gujarat Maratha Dravida Utkala Banga Vindhya Himachala Yamuna Ganga Uchchala Jalati Taranga Tava Shubha Name Jage Tava Shubha Ashish Mage Gahe Tava Jaya Gada Janagana Mangala Dayak Jaya He Bharat Bhagya Vidata Jaya He Jaya He Jaya He Jaya 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 He Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.